Now changing the value in the dresser tab of the balloon. So we have, let's go to the actual forces tab. We'll change the value to 0.1. Actually the tag, I'm sorry. You change the size to 100 and everything. Make sure you guys have all the settings that I have. So we'll go ahead and press play again. So we see the actual balloon deflating, right? It's a little bit too too much deflation going on. But this is a quick tutorial. When you guys have the time, you guys can go ahead and mess around with the settings. I will just mess around with the iterations and the stiffness and the rubber. If we put the rubber to, let's say, 15 and the flexion to like 5, let's see what happens. Let's take a look at what we got. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at our gravity. In our forces tab is 0.1. And we have a wind impact. We have a wind lift. The wind impact. Let's go to our tag. Now the stiffness is that. I'm going to go ahead and take the bounce to, let's increase the bounce. Actually, let's put the bounce to like 10 and see what happens. And the actual flexion, I'm gonna try to put the flexion to probably like, let's do the rubber to, let's try 1 and see what happens. It's a good idea to go through the settings and see what best works for you. So mess with the settings to see what you guys would like. For some reason, I think this is actually, oh, it's not going to the floor. But it completely actually deflated, right? So keep messing around. I'm gonna mess around with the settings some more. Just keep messing around with the settings until you guys get the right settings, the right one that you're looking for. We're gonna deal with the texturing first, then we're gonna go back and we're gonna mess around with the actual pressures and bounces and thus and more. So let's go ahead and for the actual balloon, I have a sphere selected, and for the sphere, I went ahead and I went to layer and I choose shading and I went to shader and I went to tiles. So if you go to layer, shader, you just got to keep looking till you see tiles, surface, you have fire, and here's tiles. Once you select tiles, you go ahead and once the tiles come in, have a transform in also with an angle of 90. This actually rotate the actual grid. So if you go ahead and open the tiles, I actually change this to lines. I have it orientation at V, global scale of 50. You guys go ahead and match my actual inputs. And then what I did was I make sure that the luminance is at 100, and I actually went to the luminance and copied the tiles and pasted with the transform. So I copied everything from the color into the luminance tab. So the reflectance, I have basic reflectance, and I go ahead and I have a 20% here, and I went to the roughness, turned it all the way down. Specular is at 20, and the environment, it's not even necessary, but actually I wanted it to be white. So once you do that, go ahead and you put it on to that, and that's where you get the lines. As for the actual, let's go ahead and delete the main texture that we have here. And as for the title, like the name on the balloon, so what I actually did was I went to alpha, I imported the image. These are my images. I imported the image, We could actually put in, let's say we'll try this one, and we press open, press yes, and I'll go ahead and I'll copy that image. I went to the colors tab and I'll actually paste that image. So therefore, when I take this image and I put it on here, you'll have the hearts on it. So here's the hearts. You could do it with anything like title. You could do it with basically any fonts or anything like that, and then it'll come out the same way. So let's go ahead, and for the actual floor, what I actually did was to light the scene. I went to background and I created a gradient shader for the background. I put the same thing onto the floor. Let's zoom in. Let me go ahead and change the actual text backs for this tutorial so it doesn't get you guys confused. For the alpha tag, make sure you have soft image and image alpha selected. And I'll go ahead and choose back the actual one that I had before. So it's actually going to actually change it back. It's a little bit too large right now. So if you get this problem, the easiest thing you could do is make sure you have this selected. We're going to select this. We're going to go ahead and select this. And we're going to use this and shrink it. Like so. We don't really want it to be, see, we have the tile selected. I'll uncheck that and I'll choose seamless. And I'll go ahead and I will shrink it some more. You get the general idea. Now for this tab, make sure you have mixed texture selected so that the white will show up more, or whatever color you want. If you'd like to change the color of the actual font itself, you could go ahead and you could change the color here. Into the color tab, you could choose red, and you could go to alpha. Alpha's fine. Let's go red. And luminance tab, you could change it to red. So let's take a look. Selected. It's not. Oh, I see what happened. I have the normal map selected in there. You don't have to worry about the normal map. So right now it's actually red, but I want it white, but you can change to any color you want. If you actually turn off mixed texture, here, you turn off uncheck the mixed texture box, then it'll actually be red. Well, for this tutorial, we'll keep it white. And select our mixed texture and make sure everything luminance is back to white. Now, we have oops, it's at foreground. I select foreground instead of background. Let's go ahead and put the background in. My bad. Put the background in, and we'll go ahead and select the model mode. So this is what we have for the background. For this, I actually created a gradient shader with this as a lighter red and a darker red, and make sure you have 2D circular selected. Reflectance, everything is not even on, and everything is normal. The gradient is that. Make sure you copy the settings. Use this for any backgrounds you want. You can change the color to pink, orange, any color you want. So once you have that selected, for the lights, what I actually did was I went to Window, Content Browser, and I went to Search, and I choose Setup. And then I choose Light Setup, and I used the daylight. Double click, and it'll come in. You see the scene is already lit. So what I go is Options. Let's go to, we have Gorilla Shading selected already. And I went ahead and I actually choose the object, the daylight settings. We'll go ahead and go through these settings. So right now we have the rotation. Let's go to our